This evening's event is a briefing about the June 2021 Finger Lakes Land Trust Bioblitz, which is an event that I'm helping the Land Trust to organize. And we hope it's going to be a fun event. And so without further ado, let me just proceed. We'll start with a brief overview of the Bioblitz, how it works, what it is, the rules, the procedures, at a sort of broad level. And then we'll get into details about exactly how one participates, submits data, observations, and so on. So I will share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. And we'll begin here. So yes, as Edie said, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them into the Zoom chat. And we'll try to address those now and then. If you have an urgent question, you can raise your hand as well. This will be just a couple of minutes. So Finger Lakes Land Trust, June 2021 Bioblitz. Let's begin. What is this Bioblitz? What is a Bioblitz and what is our particular event? Well, our event is a 3-day endeavor. It's a 3-day affair to be held over June 11th to 13th, 2021, to find and document the biota on Finger Lakes Land Trust preserves and protected areas, including flora and insects and birds and amphibians and reptiles and mammals and fungi and anything else that you can find and document through photographs and through sound recordings. So how does the Bioblitz actually work? Finger Lakes, the participants will visit Finger Lakes Land Trust preserves and protected areas to, as I said, take photos or record sounds and upload their findings or upload their observations to iNaturalist. I think many of you may be familiar with iNaturalist already, but some of you, I imagine, are not yet. iNaturalist is an online platform where people can record their observations of nature, and those observations, either photos or sounds, can be identified with the assistance of other iNaturalist users. That's what the crowdsourcing means, and or machine-based identification assistance. iNaturalist itself has built-in intelligence that can analyze photos and can help you to identify things, sometimes with amazing accuracy. So the steps about how to participate. First, the first step is to get iNaturalist, is to open an iNaturalist account so that you can enter the system and you can use it. And there are different ways to get iNaturalist, to get an account. One is to download it onto your mobile device, onto your mobile phone, an Android phone or an Apple iOS phone, and register as a user. Or you can just, without a mobile device, register at the given email, the given web address, www.inaturalist.org. Then visit Finger Lakes Land Trust Preserves from June 11th to the 13th, 2021. And eligible sites are shown on the map at the given website. I believe that this material is also available on the Land Trust website. So if you search Spring Bioblitz, you'll be able to find these same links. And we ask, please, that people remain on marked trails at all times. And so it's not just tromping around every inch of the preserves, it's really staying on the trails. The purpose, therefore, it's not so much to have a comprehensive inventory of everything. It's more like an illustrative event that exposes people to the biodiversity on these properties. People will learn, people will get together, people will be able to discuss and share sightings, but it's not, the purpose is not to, comprehensively cover all of the ground. And in fact, we ask everyone, please, not to do that and indeed to stay on the marked trails. Furthermore, how to participate. So once you have an account and once you find yourself on a Land Trust preserve, you take photographs or sound recordings of the flora, fauna, fungi, and other living things that you find. And then you upload your media, your photographs or your sound recordings, into iNaturalist via the app or the website. And you can take photos. I believe you can do sound recordings too within the app, or take them separately. You can do it within the app, or you can take photos separately and then upload them later. The location and the date, which are necessary for our Bioblitz, will be recorded automatically if you took your photos with your mobile device. Location and date may very well be logged also by your camera. Certainly date would be with most digital cameras. or the location and date can also be added manually. And all observations from eligible sites during the 3-day time frame will be automatically added into the Bioblitz. So you don't need to do anything else except add your media with the location and the date, and that automatically gets you into the Bioblitz. I'll give you more details in a few minutes. In fact, I'll walk you through about how to take photographs within iNaturalist and how to upload media within iNaturalist, either through a PC or through a mobile device. Further, the next steps are optional. As I said, if you manage to take a photo and put it into iNaturalist with the location and with a date, then you should be in our Bioblitz data set. But there's also a rather fun and rewarding opportunity for people to try to identify your find. So again, I'll walk you through this, but iNaturalist suggests options based on its built-in intelligence, or you can enter your own identification. If you can't identify all the way to species, don't worry. It will sit there and will await review from people who just like to scroll through iNaturalist sightings, experts sometimes who go through, and we're going to try to recruit experts. We have been recruiting experts to try to identify different types of flora and fauna, so that if you have something that's not identified, hopefully somebody will step in and identify it for you. Let's see. I'm having trouble advancing my slide here. Sorry, I think I'm in an editing mode here. There we go. I don't know how that happened. So another option, not required, is to join the project from the app or from the iNaturalist website. And so I'll show you how to do this as well in a minute. Basically, you search for projects and then you enter the name of our project and you click to join. As I said before, your sightings will be entered, your observations will be entered, even if you don't intentionally join the project, because of the location and the date being the defining factors for what sightings, what observations get into the data set. But still, joining the project makes it easier for you to follow the project with just a click or two to see what's going on, and also for you to communicate with us and for us to communicate with you. More details on this in a few minutes. And then finally, another optional aspect is to donate to the Land Trust. Participation in this Bioblitz is free, but donations to the Land Trust are welcome. There are different ways to donate, and we'll be tracking the number of species if you wish to pledge per species, or you can donate flat amounts, or you can solicit donations. Again, this is completely optional. Edie, would you like to elaborate on that aspect, or have I covered that aspect enough?
Yeah, no, that pretty much covers it. You can make a general donation, or obviously this is the first year we're doing this, so we don't know what the final tally will look like. If you'd like to make a pledge, we'll be announcing that on the June 29th recap event online. So you can wait until then and decide what you want your pledge amount to be, and then you can either make your gift online or email, or mail a check to the Land Trust office downtown. If you have any questions, you can call us or email us, and we'll be happy to explain that again. But please do register for the recap event, and we'll go over all of our findings then.
So I would add further that part of the purpose of this Bioblitz, maybe some of you are familiar with an event that I've run in the past called the Finger Lakes Land Trust Spring Bird Quest, which involves in-person bird walks that I've led over Memorial Day weekend, actually all the way back to 2006. Last year we did a revised version because of the need for social distancing. And we thought that because, at least at the time of planning, things were still unresolved enough with COVID that we shouldn't try to revive the Spring Bird Quest this year. So we figured that doing something like this, in which people could get out to properties and observe on their own schedule without being in a group, an organized group, would be a good way to create some engagement and to fulfill one of the key purposes of this Spring Bird Quest, which is to make people sort of understand and appreciate and celebrate the wildlife on Land Trust properties which create the vital habitat that all these living things that we love need in order to survive, reproduce, thrive, etc. So that is one of the purposes here, and also just to enjoy yourselves at your own schedule, your own convenience. your own time constraints, and also your location, travel time, as well as the donation aspect within your means and your budget. Okay, so let me here again. I think I'm. So we have a recap event on Tuesday, June 29th, and the registration is listed here. The registration information, the website is listed here. And that concludes my remarks. I'm sorry for this echo. I have tried to, I'm on two devices at once. There you go. I finally managed to stop it as soon as I finished talking. But there you go. Does anybody have any questions so far?
There is one question already, Mark. Someone is wondering if they should note bird sightings even if they can't photograph or record them.
I think that's an excellent question. I think the answer is yes. I haven't done that in iNaturalist, I have to confess, but I believe that you can do that without media. We can try that in a moment. But I think, Laura, the answer is yes, if you like. Any other questions? I would say, Laura, just to clarify, if you can do it, then I think you should do it. If you can and if you want to, then I think you should. Well, we're about to find out if you can. I see the question from Judy, what the structure of the recap will be. And we're not quite exactly sure yet, but I think it will be probably about an hour at most, in which I and other people will recap different taxa, different phyla or different classes of notable classes of animals and plants, especially if there's something that is identified to be rare or exciting. I would encourage people that if you find something about which there is particular excitement or a narrative associated with a photo, you can get in touch with me, and I'll give you my email address here in the chat. But that's an excellent question, Judy. I think we're still working out the the details, and based on what people find, we'll adjust our recap plans accordingly. I hope that answers your question sufficiently for now. Any other questions for now? In a moment, if nobody has questions based on what I've been discussing so far, I'm actually going to offer a walkthrough both on a PC and then also on a mobile device about how to take photos and how to upload them into iNaturalist with the location and the date. If you use iNaturalist already, then I would say that you're welcome to stay, but also we would encourage you to consider moving on to your next agenda item for the evening, because I think we're probably going to be covering things you already know. The main point is, if you use iNaturalist already, if you're on a Finger Lakes Land Trust site, and if you submit an observation from that site, then you are automatically going to be entered if you're in an eligible location and if you're within the date time frame. We've uploaded essentially the map information for all Finger Lakes Land Trust preserves and protected areas, the ones that are on that map. And so if you're within those preserved boundaries, then you should be, your data should be in. Okay, another question from Rick. If we find something we know to be rare, is it safe to submit it to iNaturalist? So that's an excellent question. I would say, I don't know the answer to that question, Rick. Let me try to see if I can answer that with after a bit of offline research. But I would say that there are ways to at least suppress the location of the sighting so that it's not public. And so maybe you've used that in iNaturalist before. I can show you in a minute. You can submit locations as open, obscured, which provides I think a 15 miles square around the site, but it could be anywhere within that square, or made private completely. I think that will help to suppress any people who want to go in and pick orchids or whatever, or harass a nesting owl or whatever. I hope that answers your question. And I see that Judy has added another comment about a phylogenetic tree. Yes. Judy, would you like to unmute and explain your question, just so I understand it completely, or your comment?
Okay, so yes, I helped coordinate the Bioblitz at Coming Nature Center, and we had a long discussion about whether or not to use iNaturalist, and we wanted to use it, but the site itself has no connectivity. I mean, if you're out in the woods, you can take a photo, but you can't interact with iNaturalist. So I like your process where you can have people capture things, upload it, and then your recap comes later. We actually had a big, like a 4x8 board, and as leaders came in with from the various hikes, we had data sheets of the species they saw, and then we in real time created this phylogenetic tree and probably ended up with about 160 species. But I sort of like the notion of what you're doing. So
That
you're, go
yeah,
ahead.
I really appreciate your sharing that. I wish I could take a look at that tree. If you have a link to a photo or something, please feel free to share that in the chat. And as for the connectivity issue, I am not sure of all the nuances, but I am aware, I know that it is possible for an iNaturalist user at a site that doesn't have connectivity, and these Lantra sites very often don't have strong Wi-Fi, don't have strong mobile data signals either. But if you go and if you take a photo, the photo with your mobile device or with your camera, as long as you keep track of the date and then upload it later, as you said, and as I said before, that's one way to do it, and you can manually load the location. Another way to do it, though, is to use iNaturalist to have your location services on. Location services as opposed to mobile data. Location services are much more have much better coverage because it's through satellites instead of through towers. And
Right.
so that's why you can drive, you can still have navigation in your car, even if you're in a super remote area that doesn't have mobile data. And so if you have your location services on, and if you are not in a completely dead spot for the satellites, then the location and the date will be recorded on your photo. And then you can, once you get back to a site where you have a mobile, once you get back to a site where you have Wi-Fi or data, then you can just upload your sighting, and you don't need to do anything about the date and the location, because that's already on the photo. So that makes it very convenient. And in fact, iNaturalist defaults, I think, we can look at this in a second, to letting people have their data be uploaded automatically. So you're offline, you have no data, but you do have a photo with a location and a date. And once you get back in range, then iNaturalist will detect the signal and will upload stuff for you, and it will turn your sighting into an iNaturalist sighting.
Okay.
So I think people at your preserve then should be able to do that. I think they should be able to use iNaturalist and then and use their location, use timestamps on their devices, on their photo devices, and then have iNaturalist uploaded automatically later. Okay, I see a great question from Monica about coverage and about Houghton and Stegi Hill. I don't know if anybody's covering that. If anybody has any comments or initial plans, that's great. I think that if you've signed up for the project, then in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be in there communicating with people and inviting people to submit replies to me, and we can coordinate coverage if you like. But for now, we're not intentionally planning to cover everything. Maybe in the future we will. But for now, it's because this is the first try, and because we're really emphasizing mindful of people's, do it within your schedule, your location constraints, and your budget. That's we haven't been seeking to achieve maximal coverage. I agree, it would be fun though. So if there's an impulse to try to do that, then I'm all for trying, and we can communicate about that in the project communications. Anything else for now before I go on to go actually into a demonstration about how to upload photos, about how to take and upload photos on 2 types of devices? I see a question from Gene. The main benefits of a Bioblitz. Is it a cumulative process that shows patterns and shifts over a period of years? That is a great question. And in fact, I'm glad you asked that, because I was in a certain way remiss, I suppose, in my characterization earlier about the purposes of this Bioblitz. It's not just to get people out and to have fun and to appreciate the linkages among land conservation, the work of the Land Trust, and the wildlife that we love. But it is also a potentially valuable way to track the presence and also the trends, changes in the occurrence of wildlife, of plants, animals on property. So it's an inventory on the one hand, and also it possibly is a way for tracking. We don't have any scientists yet helping with the design of this. I think that to the extent that we have uneven effort from location to location, and perhaps uneven effort in the future from year to year, detecting trends might be difficult. But then again, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a statistician. So it could be that somebody could glean helpful information from there. But at least at the level of an inventory, I think this is going to be a pretty significant start. And I'll show you in a couple of minutes, if I succeed, exactly what I mean. Because I think we already have, because of the loading of the map that we did, we can actually see what people have put into iNaturalist from land trust properties, not just during this Bioblitz, but in all the years past, and with past iNaturalist observations. Okay, anything else for now? Thank you very much for all these great questions. This is really helpful. All right, so let's move on here. Again, if you know iNaturalist super well, then I don't think that you necessarily need to stay, but I will try to get some useful information here, including what I just said about what we know about the Finger Lakes Land Trust preserve inventory so far that's already in iNaturalist. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to show you iNaturalist on my laptop here. I hope you can all see. My username is wow so many. My password is already preloaded, and so I'm going to log in. And here is what a person's page looks like. So if you don't have an account already, if you go to iNaturalist, it will prompt you for creation of a username and a password, and then you can get in, and then you'll see a screen just like this. You can see one other nice thing about all this is that it provides for any individual user, such as myself, a list of one's observations. So I can see, I found a stonefly called a swelza just the other day, various bees, which I love to take photographs of these days. These are my sightings. And I can now try to add an observation here. I'm going to go back to Explore. You can do that in a couple of different ways. One is to click Upload here. I think sometimes there's another prompt. And then let's say that I have taken a photo, not necessarily on my mobile device even, but on a digital camera. I've put the digital photo onto my computer, and now I would like to upload that digital photo to iNaturalist. I'm going to choose my file. My file is located in Pictures, and I have 2 photos of the same organism. And so I'm going to try to open them both, to upload them both. And so now we see that this bee, of which I took a photo on this past Saturday or Sunday, the 22nd, and it was at 11 a.m. And the location is not given. I need to manually enter the location because I took it on the camera. And so now I'm going to try to zoom in. Oops. It was not in Algeria or Libya. It was more, sorry. I drew a circle here. I'm not sure what I did with the circle. I'm not I took this photo at the Salmon Creek Preserve in Lansing. So bear with me for a moment as I zoom in. Sorry. I think I need to keep on putting pins down.
There is a search for location.
Yeah, let's see. Actually, yes. Thank you for the person who spoke up. Salmon Creek Bird Sanctuary, it's called. Oops.
There was a salmon, yeah, there.
Salmon Creek, Lansing, New York is here. Salmon Creek Bird Sanctuary, Salmon Creek Road is here. It is Salmon Creek Road. And so I'm going to try to get to the correct intersection here. It's just north of Lockerbie Hill Road, just north of Brooks Hill Road. And this is where I saw this bee, right there. And so I'm going to update the observations. Oops. And update the observations. Okay. And so that's how you get for a photo that you've taken with a separate camera onto into the system with the date and with the location. Sorry it took me so long to get the location, and thank you for the help to whoever spoke up. And I know that this is a ligated furrow bee. It's a ligated furrow bee because it's got pollen on her. She's got pollen on her legs that look like yellow snow pants, and she's also got a little hook on the bottom of her cheek. And so I'm going to go all the way to species. Note, however, that iNaturalist provided at least, actually I should have paused here for a second. iNaturalist loads suggestions, and iNaturalist's intelligence already knows that it's in the genus Halictus. They think it's a furrow bee because of its shape and probably because of the way the pollen looks like snow pants. And so if you're not sure, it's quite fine to just click on what iNaturalist gives you, but I happen to know that this is definitely a ligated furrow bee. And this is also actually ligated furrow bee. And actually, I think I made a mistake here. I located these. Anyway, I'll fix this later. This is the same bee, so actually these photos should be in the same sighting, but let's just continue this. Submit 2 observations. And that's how you enter a sighting. It's going to take a second here, but that's it. And so now I'm going to try to do it something different here. Going to my observations, and this is here. And here are my 2 sightings, which are now in the system. As I said before, actually, though, I'm going to need to edit this sighting. And actually, I'm going to delete one of these sightings because I'm going to delete this one because it's 2 photographs of the same organism, which should be in the same, actually should be in the same record. I'll finish up here in a second. Thanks for bearing with me. So I can select another photo. And this is the photo that I just deleted. So I'm going to add that one to this. And I think I just added the photo. Okay. If this doesn't work immediately, then we're going to just quit here. Okay. Judy?
I think it should be the other photo that you're adding. I think it's not adding it because you're trying to double up.
Yeah, it could be. Let's not bother with that later. I think the system is much more self-explanatory than I'm making it look. So, and I'm especially used to using it on my mobile device. So let's just forget this. I'll fix this up later. I think you understand the point, and we'll welcome questions in a second here about this. In fact, let's pause now Does anybody have any questions about what I just did using the iNaturalist on the PC to take photos that were on my device, were on my computer, and upload them with the location data? Okay, let's go to the mobile device now.
Yeah, Mark, I
Yes.
put one in chat. I put a
Okay.
question in chat for you if you happen to know.
I don't know exactly, Rick. I've never done it quite this way before. And so I think it's probably the center of the circle. I can try to get that information and clarify that for you after we're done.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, there was one other question. If you see, do you want me to wait until the end?
No, that's okay. This is another excellent question, Kate. Thank you. So the question is, if we see things multiple times, is it helpful to submit multiple observations of the same species? I don't think counts are as important for this. And so I would say that if you would like to, for your own pleasure and enjoyment, then please feel free to do so. Having multiple photos of an organism can be helpful just to help the machine learning to improve itself. But I would say for the purposes of the Bioblitz, insofar as it's an inventory, having one species from one site, one sighting of any given species from one site is not too much different from having multiple sightings of multiple observations of the same species from that site. I hope that answers your question. But again, there's no hard and set rules. It's not like you're going to unduly inconvenience people if you submit multiple observations. It might take a little more time for reviewers to get through, but I think that's okay. If it's necessary to blip over things, then you might see one of your observations get identified and one waiting for observation for a bit longer, but that's how it goes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now on my Android device. And this is my Android device. I'm going to go to iNaturalist here, iNaturalist. And this is the same set of observations that you saw just now on the PC, except now it's on my mobile device. It's actually much quicker and much faster to use, much quicker and straightforward to use. And so I'm going to now show you, I showed you how to upload a photo before. And if you happen to have photos that are on your phone, you can upload them. But I'm going to now show you how to actually use iNaturalist to take a photo from within the app itself. So I'm going to click on this plus on the bottom, which is to submit an observation. And actually, I can also go to new observation over here, which takes me to the same prompt and Laura, this answers your question that you had before about no media. So yes, you can upload you can submit an observation without any media at all. Barbara, I'll get to this question about how to join in a second. But just to show you how to take a photo from within iNaturalist. So instead of choosing an existing image, you're going to take a photo of something that you see. And I just so happen to have a caterpillar right here that I'm going to take a photo of. Okay, I'm going to check. It's preparing the photo. It's got the date and it's got the location. This is my home. And the location visibility, as I said before, if you have something sensitive, if you want to keep your privacy, or if you want to keep the privacy for the protection of the organism, you can make the location private, or you can make it obscured. I'm going to make it obscured because while I trust everyone here with the very super precise latitude, longitude coordinates of my house, I don't want everybody in the whole iNaturalist world to know exactly where I found this caterpillar. But for your sightings for the Bioblitz, it doesn't matter whether it's obscured, private, or open. What did I see? I'm seeking suggestions. Uh-oh. So this is I think I need to crop my photo a bit more here because it's identifying the leaf instead of identifying the caterpillar. We could identify the leaf too, and I happen to know that this is not one of the species seen here. But in any case, I'm going to just enter this I'm going to enter this observation with a moths. I'm going to call it butterflies and moths. And then I'm going to select that as the taxon. Does everybody see what I just did? I did a search for what I thought the taxon was. This is a caterpillar. I believe it's a forest tent caterpillar, which is a moth. And so I'm going to, okay. I'm having a request to repeat this slower. So let's do this again. Let me start from the beginning here because I want to try to get a better photo too. Okay, so I'm in iNaturalist, I'm using my mobile device, and I see an organism. It's close enough that I can take a photo with my phone, so I'm going to try to do that, and I'm going to take a photo. I'm going to take a photo right here. Of this caterpillar. It's a little dark here. Okay. And so I'm going to accept the photo. It has the location information, it has the date, and I'm going to make the location obscured in this case. And now I'm going to go to what did you see? I'm going to click on what did you see? iNaturalist, aha! Now, because I have a better photo, it says what it's pretty sure the caterpillar is. It's pretty sure that it's an underwing tiger, tussock, or allied moth. And so I'm not sure that it's one of these other ones. And so I'm going to just click that it is an underwing tiger, tussock, or allied moth as the closest identification that we can issue. And I'm going to select it. I hope that was helpful. And now I'm going to hit check, the check mark at the bottom to submit it. And so now it's in the system and it's in my archive of wildlife sightings. And as I said before, you don't need to do anything to get it into the Bioblitz except to have the date and have the location match up with the time frame and the territory of this event. Okay, let's return to the questions now. How to join the project in iNaturalist? Okay, let's do that now. You join the project. I've already joined the project. Oh, sorry, let me do that again. So I went to the menu here. The people call it a hamburger menu, right? A hamburger menu up in the top left, and it gives you options to explore, to check out other things, guides, messages, etc., which you can, I think, check out on your own. I don't think we need to discuss that tonight. But projects, you can, I'm already in this Finger Lakes Land Trust Bioblitz survey. I'm going to leave the project because, actually, I better not leave the project because I run the project, so I don't want to create confusion by leaving the project. But essentially, you can go search for projects by hitting on the magnifying glass and then type in Finger Lakes Land, and then it pops right up, and then you can tap on it, and then you're in. The reason it says that 0 people, 0 observations, there are many of you who have joined. There are several of you who have joined already, and I gratefully acknowledge that. But there are no people listed here because there are no observations yet because we're not within the given time frame. That's why. Over June 11th through 13th, you're going to see on this page a number of observations. I'll show you. I participated in last year's Spring Bioblitz organized by the Cayuga Nature Center. So this is their project page. They ended up with almost 1,600 observations, 718 species, and 882 people doing this activity. This was throughout the entire Finger Lakes. So I think we're going to end up with probably fewer observations, species, and people. But that's what they have here. And there are numerous projects. I'm involved with several projects here. I'm involved with something called the Empire State Native Pollinator Survey, which has thousands and thousands of observations and participants. So you can explore that. Any questions? I think we're nearing wrapping up here if there are no further questions. I will try one more thing here. I'm clicking on Explore. Explore is fun. This is one other aspect where, you can have a lot of fun with iNaturalist, even if it's not with your own sightings. You can see what people have been observing and uploading into the system from your area. I don't know exactly what my location is. I think it might be the 15-mile square, or it might be our county and adjoining county, something like that. Our ligated furrowbee is here. Our underwing tiger tussock moth is here, the ones that we just submitted, and we can see what other people have been finding. If you're interested in any particular taxon, like birds in our area, you can see what people have been uploading into iNaturalist with birds. And these are all recent sightings. The RG here means that it's been identified all the way to species. So this common grackle means that two people, or more than two people with I think, a quorum of more than 2/3 in agreement, indicate that it's the listed species. If it's not identified by two people all the way to species, then it remains unlisted as research grade. So for example, this brown thrush, which could either be a very, very shadowy veery, or it could be a gray-cheeked thrush. I need to take a look at that and look at the wing length and so on. It could be a hermit thrush also. The wings, I don't know, hermit thrush. It actually looks kind of Bicknell's thrushy because it's got a gray-cheeked thrush face and it's got a reddish tail. But in any case, somebody found this, photographed it, uploaded it, and unfortunately, no one is quite able to identify it to species, and so it sits here within the genus Catharus, but without an ID all the way to species. Okay, I won't bore you. I could go on all night, and sometimes I do, exploring local sightings. I'm going to try one last thing here for exploring. I think I need to share this screen. Hang on a second. So I'm going to explore. And so on a PC, you can explore observations. This is all the observations in the world, more than 1.6 million observers, 67 million observations. It's very impressive. Things from all around the world. It's amazing. The location, though, if I filter by location, I go Finger Lakes, Land Trust. Preserves. I think we might be able to get to, no, let's try this. Filters. I want to show you what people have found in Finger Lakes Land Trust properties. I did this before, but now it seems not to be doing it the same way. Okay, well, I don't want to waste I don't want to waste time searching around. I'm sorry I didn't do this in advance. I thought that I would be able to do it very quickly because I did it. Oh, places. Find a place. Land Trust. Search. Okay, Finger Lakes Land Trust preserves in public land. And so these are the observations from Finger Lakes Land Trust preserves. And this includes some of my swelza and includes my ligated furrowbee. There are 112 confirmed species. It seems like I think there should be more than that. But in any case, this is what people have been finding on Finger Lakes Land Trust properties. And so we're going to do this just over the weekend, and it's going to be added to this search as well. But that's the kind of thing that you can find, and that's the richness of this system. It's amazing to see what people find, and it's amazing that iNaturalist makes it all so easy to participate in, and also so easy to explore. Okay, I'll pause now. I'll stop sharing and invite further questions. I gave my email address. If anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me offline. and you can expect communications from me if you've joined the project. Communications through iNaturalist. iNaturalist also positions itself as a kind of social network. You can communicate with other users. It's not quite as crazy as Facebook or other social media, but it does enable users to communicate with each other, ask questions of experts, and so on.
And
Question
Mark, I
yes,
am
Judy.
happy to share the phylogenetic
Oh.
tree. I pulled that up if you wanted to see
Okay,
it.
yeah, please, let's take a look at that. If you, I think Edie might have to make you the host so you can share your screen. And then we have a question from Pat too, which we'll get to in a minute.
There you go, Judy.
Okay, so the first thing let's see, can you see that? Oh, share. The first thing we did was just show everybody the total phylogenetic tree. And then what we did, because we had 100 participants, and we had like hikes going out every half hour. Some were on birds, some were on conifers, some were on flowering plants, some were on fungi. And then as the groups came back, we just real time created this phylogenetic tree. And so people could visually see what we were finding as we were walking around at Cumming Nature Center. They have about 900 acres. And then I am taking this and creating a spreadsheet and a write-up based on what we found. But
Yeah, that's amazing, Judy. We can't see anything right now. The photo, at least that as far as I can see, is truncated.
Really? Let me just try that again.
I did see the first tree that shows everything and shows how animals are just one little tiny spur off of the eukaryotes, and everything else is so much more, so much a bigger part of our living world.
Can you see this one now?
You need to share your screen again.
Where am I? Share screen.
And I see that Edie's answered the question from Pat. Oh, I see. Okay, there you go.
And so this was 4x8, and we had lots of different people. We had some younger kids, and so we did try to get some people to write on the little post-it notes, but we thought it would be sort of fun to visually see.
And Judy, you did this without people having to take photographs, right? People who just observe.
Correct.
I see.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's different about this. I think mostly it's going to be with photographs, although as Laura pointed out, it doesn't have to be. And so the sharing, I think the end result of our joint effort, this recap event, essentially, is going to be sharing of photos, sounds, and stories. Not quite looking quite like this. I think that the way you've presented it as a tree is lovely. Maybe we can think about that in the future, especially if somehow we're able to meet in person someday for future.
Well, and Mark, I like what you're doing with iNaturalist, and we're gonna see if we can't figure out how to incorporate that too.
Yeah,
so.
It's. I mean, the way we've organized it, quite frankly, this year is fairly light for me, the organizer, and for the Lantra staff who are supporting me. But I think that in the future, there are lots of different ways to enhance it, including in-person meeting, creation of a tree, creation of teams for coverage of different taxa on the one hand,
Right.
as you did, or coverage of different locations, as Monica suggested before. All those things, I think, are ripe possibilities, repeats at different seasons, whatever. But I think this one is just sort of a first taste, and especially in light of the cancellation of the Spring Bird Quest this year, it seems like an apt replacement that has a similar character and could lead into other things in the future. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions? I realize it's late. I'm mindful of people's time. If you don't, if one other thing, if you have any questions about how to use iNaturalist, how to do certain more advanced things, then go to the iNaturalist website. There are video tutorials available. I can show you very quickly where that is. I'll share my screen here. iNaturalist. So more. Under more, there's video tutorials. And you can, how adding an observation on a mobile device, which we did, adding an observation via the web, which we did sort of with some clunky delays by me. Some tips about how to take photos, how to use the identify page, which essentially we did. There's some advanced geotagging that you can do, use of software and then uploading so that you can have your location be followed around by some kind of tracking software. That's too advanced for what we're talking about today. Duplicating observations for when you have, like with our caterpillar here, both a caterpillar and a leaf. So all this is here for your exploration and for your guidance in case you need more information. And I'm here too. Anything else? I really look forward to seeing your inputs into our Bioblitz. I hope that you enjoy visiting the land trust preserves, finding plants, fungi, animals. And I hope to see many of you at the event on the 29th. My email is upstream in the chat, but I'll type it in again. It's native bee garden. I'm really into bees these days. Not just birds. Birds still also at gmail.com. Okay. I guess I'll stay on for another few minutes just in case anybody has any late questions. But with that, I think we can consider our session closed. And I wish everybody a good evening. Again, I'll stay on.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Mark, I have a question if I can.
Sure, Laura.
But it's some issue that I'm having with mine. I have a bunch of observations that I had never uploaded on iNaturalist. And I am open on my iPhone and it says waiting to upload. And I, for the life of me, cannot figure out how to upload these. I hit them and it says syncing and nothing happens.
I
run into that?
I have run into that, I think, in the past. And what I did, Laura, I'm sorry to say, was that I deleted iNaturalist and then I reloaded it. I remembered my login information. And once you do that, you can clear the cache, or you can go into your app drawer, or app folder, and go into settings, and then you can clear the cache.
Okay. I think you're right. I have to or else I can individually delete them. That one's that I can do. And then start afresh now that I know how to use it because of you.
I had problems like that in the past, but I haven't had that recently.
Yeah, it says on the top.
It might have been a bug in the system too.
Yeah, it says 12 observations to upload. I hit that and it says syncing and nothing happens.
Yeah, that sounds familiar to me, Laura. And at least in my experience, if we're talking about the same thing, that's how I solved it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate your help.
I'm no super expert yet. I use it a lot, but I'm not a super expert.
Okay.
There's also some, if you really get stuck, I think you can go into an iNaturalist forum and they have experts in there who answer questions like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
have a good evening.
My pleasure. Same to you.
Thanks,
Anything else from anybody?
Yes, that's it.
I guess not. Okay. So yeah, Laura, Betsy, thank you. Pat, thanks for your question. Leslie. And so with that, I think I'm going to leave the meeting.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Edie, thanks so much for staying up late, working late for us here. I appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.